In this video, we're going to block out this shot of Rocket Girl. I'm Luciano and welcome to the adventures of LollypopMan. I'm going to narrate a little bit what I'm doing in this time lapse, which I'm creating with Rocket Girl. And I wanted to do a quick exercise with this month's Anim challenge, which it's from that viral of people punching the camera.
My friends!
What the heck, Zozo?
And so I'm going to talk about what I'm doing on a more broad way. So I set up my camera and I linked my rig. As you can see, there's a little piece of geometry that comes out of the head, which is the inside of the mouth, which has been fixed. So if you're using this character, remember to get the version 09 in the Gumroad below. And basically I ignored it for a while and then you'll see me trying to fix it. So what I'm doing here is I started placing some different poses to get a general idea of what I wanted. I didn't plan this animation much on paper or anything else, but what I did was I thought about exactly what I wanted to see in general terms of the motion. And so once I started animating, I was placing general poses that would help define kind of the flow of what was going to happen. As you can see, that was a moment where I was trying to fix the mouth and I couldn't, and I decided to ignore it for a little bit longer. So here I'm back trying to make the moment where the character falls into the ground and bounces back up again, right? And so placing poses basically every 8 frames. I kind of like to work in 8s, 4s, 2s, 16s, depending on how big or how small I want to go, because it's always easier to divide by 2, by 2, by 2, by 2. And so here I decided to, instead of fixing it, I just edited the rig and added a mask modifier, so created a vertex group and hit those vertices so they wouldn't bother me anymore. But again, version 9 is fixed. In any case, so here I continue placing roughly poses. As you can see, this rig hasn't been very well weighted yet. It's a work in progress still. And so I'm placing most of the poses on a straight ahead manner. So I went ahead and started, after planning the idea of what I wanted to see, I started just going straight ahead, placing poses in, as you can see, something like every 8 frames. And this is only because it's easier for me to organize it in my brain. I get a rough idea of the timing, which I know will change drastically later on. But in this case, it helps me just place the poses with enough spacing that I can control and scrub quickly and fall into the areas where the pose is. So I'm trying also to put all of the key moments that I think are important for the piece to work the way I want it to work. So she gets punched, she bounces back in the floor, turns around on herself, stays down, then lifts up, pushes the button, which will turn on her jetpack, and then she'll start flying away slowly and then start going on this like very cool S-curve, kind of cartoony, obviously, which is something that I enjoy trying to do. So I'm just roughly setting the pose because I want to get the idea and the sense that the character is like kind of flying, not super in control, and so that she will gain control when she's kind of up. And you see, I use the grease pencil to sometimes just draw a little bit of guidance for myself, because it's easier to just draw something there than using some kind of tool like a motion path tool or something like that. It takes too long. With the grease pencil, you can just draw in your camera view and then just place your character where you want to do it. It's kind of like in the old CG days when people would draw on your monitor, and so this helps me a lot. So as you can see, I'm just roughly placing the main body and the legs following with a little bit of overlap to give the general idea of what I'm going for with what the legs are going to be doing. Again, everything is super rough, and I'm going rough because I want to get the general feeling of the animation first, and then I'm going to work on making the poses pretty. Also because there's a maximum time, which is 10 seconds. And so at this rate, as you can see, I'm not done and I'm almost hitting those 10 seconds. And so this getting rough poses very quickly and getting that flow of how the piece is going to work helps me also time it out and say, okay, maybe I should take something out because it's too long for those 10 seconds. And so now I'm trying to make a more stronger pose for that key moment when she's preparing to come back with a punch, right? And as you can see, I just make that pose. And in fact, from here on and the rest of the animation forward, it's the same pose, maybe with a slight tweak here and there, but it's just the same pose. Because again, I'm not really animating yet. I'm just trying to get the general flow. And now I start retiming to see the things in the speed I think they should go. And so now I'll start adding a little bit more detail. And again, I'm gonna start retiming out those poses again, seeing where I'm missing some extra poses to convey that motion, right? Here I drew another line to also do that part of the flying. I want to also make sure that she really punches the camera. And now I start using some motion path so I can clean up the trajectory of the character. Now that we have an overall rough trajectory that kind of works. And so I keep on just using that, turning it on and off in different areas so I can clean that up and get something that not only works well in the flat like camera, but also I start pushing those arcs to not only go to those sides, but also back and forth. And so here I'm retiming this part and adding more detail, not adding more detail to the pose, but adding more moments which will help convey again the move and the flow of what I want to do. So it's basically, first I got kind of like the structure of the animation of what I wanted it to do, and then I'm adding more detail to make it more clear for myself. This is not the right way to work. It's probably the wrong one, but this is sometimes when I do animation on my own for fun. This is how I enjoy doing it because it's a little bit more free, and because I don't have like a director or somebody that has a clear idea of what I need to do, I think it's a very freeing way of animating. So it's a mix of pose to pose with straight ahead, where I plan it out and then I just start going straight ahead, and then I start filling in the blanks as I need. And then as I feel that there's need to push a pose or to start refining a pose, then I start working on that. As you can see now, I'm working a little bit on this part, and it's not super defined, but again, I'm moving and retiming stuff. As you can see here, I'm cutting a lot of the stuff that was too slow. And so at this moment, I can put more or less poses to help me define the parts that I want to define more. And so yeah, now I start moving the feet a little bit, readjusting the feet, readjusting the saddle up there, and then having that little moment where she pulls back and anticipates before she's going to punch the camera. Here, right? Again, I go into my motion paths and looking for not a perfect arc, obviously, because it's not a polished moment, but a general arc for the flow of the animation. And so you can see in different areas that I'm trying to look for arc, and then another arc, and then another arc, and so on. Right? And here I'm still realizing that I don't have enough time. And so now I'm gonna start working this last moment of the punch. And again, I'm rearranging the curve, the trajectory, the curve of the trajectory of the character. So yeah, there you go. And so now I'm pushing that pose a little bit more because I want to, like, that pose is really important because it's like the key moment. Like, she got punched, she starts flying back, and then she's like coming back. Right? It's a simple exercise, but I really wanted to do it for some reason. I kind of like flying characters. Yeah, and you can see I keep on reiterating over each part and retouching each part. Now I'm just like adding a little bit of an expression at the beginning when she gets punched, because we're coming from the moment where she gets punched, so we won't see the punch, we just see her flying out away, right? And so we want to make this part look good, and that's the only moment besides this one and the ending. It's the only moments that we'll actually see her facial expressions. And so I want to try to make sure that she's alive and we feel that she's been punched, and then we feel that she's angry and coming back. Right? And so I keep on watching it and I'll look at it over and over again. And so now we're adding, for instance, from all the time that we cut from the other parts, we can add more time to this moment, which is where she's like, I'm going to turn this on and come back. And so, yeah, and as you can see, these 3.5 hours were cut a little bit because I was talking to some friends online, and so at this point I'm more or less happy with the blocking itself, but I'm trying to do some grease pencil drawings to think about what I'm going to do later on, to add some effects. It's probably going to be like polygons or something like that, but I think it's important to tell this moment that she turns on the thing, that we get that smoke and that she flies away and turns on, and I'm probably gonna end up doing sound for it or something like that, just because it would be a fun piece. And so this is also helping read better the animation and what's going on. I think it doesn't just work without it, and so that's why I started adding it, because again, it's informing my decisions that are coming later on. And so stick to the end, because in the end I'm gonna play the final animation, the final blocking that I made during this exercise. And yeah, I hope also, if you're into animation and if you're doing animation, definitely join Agora community. They're doing a great job in gathering lots of resources for animators, free rigs, lots of tutorials from around YouTube, and they also have feedback sessions and stuff like that. I'm not sponsored by them, but I think they're doing a great job. And every month they do this Anim monthly challenge, and I keep on seeing amazing work, and I'm super inspired by that. And I'm trying to find the time to do this and actually finish it, but if I don't finish it by the time of the challenge, I'll still finish it up and you'll still see videos. I am starting to stream on Twitch on Sundays at 10 p.m. CET. I'll probably put a link here or on Twitter. So the first time I did it was yesterday, and I didn't tell anybody because I wasn't planning on it. And I think it helped me work. So probably what I'll do the next few times is you won't even see the camera. You'll just see me animating, and maybe I'll add some music or something like that. But if you wanna see somebody animating and struggling for hours, frame by frame with every move, then yeah, I hope you come and enjoy. And otherwise, I'll still post the videos later on where you can see this process, and hopefully you enjoy it. So Like if you like, subscribe, and see me next time.